Is there space?
Hello,
All right,
everybody.
we should be seeing everybody.
Good evening.
Can you guys hear us?
Somebody note, yes, we can hear.
There we go.
Son of a gun, all is well. The world is doing what it's supposed to. And we have a 2-second reverb in our speakers, at least I do.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, so does Mark. But that's okay. I can live through it.
From
Okay,
I know
no
where it's
problem.
coming from.
No problem.
So while we're waiting, if anybody has any questions,
It should be gone now.
Even off topic, let us know. We're just sitting here and gonna have some fun for the next 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours.
Yeah, no, not a long time. It'll be short. The shortest 6 hours you've ever seen.
Yeah, we might not be here for a long time, but we're here for a good time.
Oh,
That's how I
very
think
good,
of it.
very good.
I'm just here. I don't have any responsibilities tonight. I've never said that probably before, especially tonight. But I'm here just to support.
We were listed as the color commentators.
Ah,
Color commentators.
all right.
So you see, you got the black and white guy up there, and we got the color commentators to take.
we can commentate.
We can commentate.
Yeah,
We're good
Mark
at
will
that.
appreciate it.
We're very good at commentating.
You guys kill me.
Yeah.
No, not yet. The whole time.
So what I'm wondering about up top there
Mm-hmm.
is, I don't think I can get comments on the big screen.
What did I just do? Something just went flaky.
Yeah, because that's just.
What's going on?
Oh, there we are. Live chat.
Let's see if it does it.
There it is.
Hey,
We have
there
live
we
chat
go.
up top.
Well,
That's
for a couple seconds there, we
that's-
could see what you were saying.
I don't. It's
We're good.
it's being obnoxious. What is it doing?
It says we're
God
not-
bless America. Come on.
Oh, good news. You're seeing the best part of us.
Okay.
Now you're seeing the other part of it.
I don't know why it moved, but it's being really slow to respond. God blessed.
Boy, the technical side of this is pretty interesting, though. We've got 3 screens here,
Yep.
3
Yeah.
cameras, and
Yep. Yep.
all the pop-ups over there
There.
that Dean gets to play with.
Get to
Block
watch all
that
kinds
sucker.
of stuff we don't care about.
Yeah.
There.
Or
Yes.
understand.
Yes. Yes. You get to behind the scenes.
There it is.
Perfect. We're told. Perfect is hard to beat, Dean.
Are they talking about Dean's work or us? Mark's not here, so
Can't
they
be
can
us.
say.
The chances are real good. We know we're not perfect.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, if I were in charge of that, we'd probably be upside down. So
There's a thought. There's a thought. So once again, we encourage questions, and the answer to your question, Bryce, is yes. That's one of the reasons that we are on YouTube now. I could not master Zoom and turning it into a video. So when we went to YouTube, it happens automatically, and I can't screw it up. So it has worked out very well. Yes, as soon as this is over with, it becomes available in minutes. I don't know that it's available immediately, but
No, if you jump in though, you'll catch wherever we're at that time.
No, I mean, he's asking, is it recorded? Can
Yeah,
he watch
so-
it later?
So yeah, I'm watching. Yep.
Yeah. And the answer in general to that is yes. As soon as the recording is done, they'll be able to go back and start over at the beginning and rewatch it if they want to.
Can they hear you?
I sure hope so. Can you
Okay,
guys hear
so
me?
I don't have to repeat what you're saying to me. Everybody can hear it.
They're all saying,
They-
"What's that voice I hear?" But there's no.
Who's that funny
They
voice?
said
Yeah,
that's the producer Dean.
That's Dean,
Yes.
the producer.
Matter of fact, if Dean put himself on the screen right now, he would be
In front of Mark.
in front of Mark's face. Yeah, which good, bad, or otherwise.
Wow. You guys are cold. You guys are cold.
You know, we gave you a chair and you didn't want to sit next to us, so stand over there and let Dean cover your face.
You guys are
There's Dean.
Hey, you guys are cold.
We're very pleased to have Dean with us tonight. He's taking time away from his preparations to leave the country tomorrow. So we appreciate the fact that he's making time for us tonight.
Hey John, can you do the scale one?
Yep. Both are. Oh yeah.
No love for Mark tonight. We're equal opportunity. It doesn't matter whether it's tonight or any other
Yeah.
night.
Notice now when the crowd now knows.
Yeah, he gets what he gives.
Man.
Yep.
You know, I'll tell you, I watched the Dick Sing thing. I didn't see you guys giving him any heat.
He's bigger than we are.
Right. He hits harder than you do.
We're no fool.
It seems a bit choppy tonight, is what we're hearing.
It is. It's telling me encoder overloaded, so I'm trying to figure out. It ran just fine with Dick Sings on the exact same settings. I don't know what's up tonight with the encoding, and I don't know if I can change it on the fly, but I'm going to try.
If you guys do have any questions up in advance, please just put them up there now. Worst case is I'd say that we'll get to them, but we're going to cover everything.
We are.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to cover everything. You and I are going to
Yes.
do nothing. And
So-
Mark will do everything.
I just got back from vacation with no time to prepare. So thankfully, tonight is all about Mark and Peppermills, which is great. So I'm here for moral support and helping any other way that I can off screen. So it's all good.
If you watched us for any of these videos, you know that our morals need all the support we can get.
And you know what
it's
I did?
always good to have one. You made it move. huh?
I made the camera move. I need to. We're still learning hand signals. Field goal, airplane mode. I don't know what to do to make it move, but there it is. Thank you, Dean.
Yeah, I don't know why that. I don't see that turned on, so I don't know why it did what it did. But I'm just having all kinds of fun. I don't know why it's choppy today. That's really annoying me because again, this is the exact same setup we did with Dick just a couple weeks ago.
Earlier, when I walked in the room, I noticed his video was playing in the background. Was that something you were doing, or?
Let me try stopping this to see if that helps. Pause that.
We've got a minute.
All the time in the world.
I've got so much planned tonight.
Big night. Whew.
We actually have been working pretty hard, though.
Yeah.
We unloaded a pallet full of lathes and lathe stands and picked, 20 orders or so. So Mark and I were joking around about autographing some order sheets that we were picking, but we didn't.
They also don't mention that they helped me unload probably 800, 900 pounds of wood.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah,
And none of that found its way in the back of my car. So.
Yeah, it did.
yeah, right, you're
Yeah,
right.
it did.
You're right.
Yeah, it did.
Don't tell Ed, but yeah. it
No.
did.
Lots of stuff came this week.
Is it getting any better, Dean?
It is. I've cleared up and shut down a couple of things, and that's made it stop stuttering. So we're
Cool.
we're good now, I think.
So You sure that everything is better?
Funny man. Funny,
Yeah, we
funny,
need
funny
that,
man.
There's
don't
always one in the group.
No problem. It's just a star.
So I didn't
He's
see
only
any
the-
I didn't see any pre-question.
Me neither.
So if you guys have anything about anything, let us know. Is there a clock somewhere? If I know how long I'm going. I'm just gonna go. You guys will have to time me.
No.
And then
What do you want to
Trust
know?
me, when everybody just logs off and goes to bed, you're done.
What do you want to know?
and then
You want to know when it's a half an hour and a half an hour?
no, I mean it's all up to you guys. I mean I'm fine with going as long as you guys want.
Well, we're about done now, I think.
When Ed and I come back, you'll have time to quit. We're going to get something to eat, right?
Yeah, well, you might as well, sure. Tour the neighborhood and see all the high spots.
You were going to show me all that extra, really special wood that you had.
If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be and why? It's a question.
That's
That is
a
a
question. Hopefully a green one.
Right?
You could be an oak because you're mighty and strong.
Yeah, but they break in the wind.
Yeah.
So I'd probably be a maple. I'd like to stay flexible with what's going on around me.
All right.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. Bird's eye maple.
Bird, yeah. Naturally, high quality.
I'd say spalted tamarind, but only because that's my favorite, which we
Yeah.
will see a ton of tonight. We will see a ton of spalted tamarind tonight.
It is 6 o'clock according to my watch. Does anybody else have a different number? Okay. Now why don't we begin? First of all, thanks to everybody who has tuned in at this point. I suspect we'll have people coming in as we get going here. There really isn't any quote business unquote. Things are as normal here. But one of the things that we've gotten a little feedback on in the last month or so, people have asked about actually turning instead of doing as much talking as we've done. So you may not be aware of the fact that Mark is actually truly is a professional turner. You know, people give me a bad time all the time about, well, of course you can do that. You're a professional turner. No, I'm not. I turn a little bit. I turn a lot more than most people do, but nobody pays me for my turning facility, and nobody asks me to do any of the instructions and so forth. But they do ask Mark to do that. So, and he makes a living, at least part of a living, at craft show, art and craft shows. So he is eminently qualified to do turning from start to finish. Just as John is eminently qualified to do casting from start to finish, and I'm eminently qualified to do nothing from start to finish. And it works out very well. I get to sit here and watch them do what they do. You got some wise ass comment.
I do. I couldn't say it, but I feel like if we're going to have a professional turner, we should invite Don. Mark's wife.
That's dirty pool, but yeah, pretty good point, actually. So when they started talking about, well, can we do something from start to finish? We started talking about what could we do, and peppermills are fun because there's pretty much every concept in turning is involved in making a peppermill. So I asked Mark if he would mind doing this, and he said reluctantly, well, if you insist. Well, actually, I could do 2. Well, we could wait until we could do 4 or 5 if you'd really like. So, he was really reluctant to do this, but he agreed. So with all that bad news for him, let's just start letting Mark do his thing, and John and I will participate to some extent in that. As he's working, he does some things different than I do, and different than Mark does. So you will hear us in the background from time to time, chiming in a bit. But for the most part, this is Mark's night to show you all how to do peppermills and some of the ins and outs and ups and downs. So with that, Show them everything you know, Mark.
All right, so I do want to answer a couple questions that I did see going across the side. It was asking about the Midwest Pen Turners Gathering, and if that's okay to
Sure,
just make a mention of it.
Absolutely.
It's going to be in April this year. I will remember the dates in a minute, but the website will be going live in October. We always go live October 1st. If you decide that you're going to sign up and you're going to sign up now, sign up early. The earlier that you sign up, the more tickets you get for some special raffles that we have. And one of the raffles that we have is that we always raffle off a jet lathe. And that's a spectacular gift. There's no extra purchase for it. It's simply the sooner you sign up, the more tickets you get. So if you sign up in October, you get 6 tickets. November, you get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, down to the last one when you sign up in April. So if you have any other questions about it, let me know. We're October 1st will be the startup of the website. And by mid-October, I'll have finished basically negotiating with all my demonstrators to make sure that I have all the demonstrations ready to go. So any questions on that, feel free to put them on the side. Any questions along the way when you're asking me about it, please put it on the side. I do have Dean monitoring it, and Dean can talk to me. So with that, are we ready to go?
Go for it.
All right. Are we, Dean, can we go to this camera here? Perfect. Thank you, Dean.
Beautiful.
So I do want to talk a little bit, give you a preview of what we're going to be talking about, and give you an idea of some of the different peppermills that we're going to be looking at. There's a lot of peppermills out there. The nice thing about it is we're going to start out with some skill that we already have as pen makers, and then we're going to progress, and you're going to see 90% of the tooling we already have. There's going to be just a couple other things, and I think that they make nice gifts for people. And one of the things that I'm going to show you today is that we're going to do it just like I do as a pen maker. We're going to do a lot of custom things, and we're going to make a lot of custom things for people. So let's start out with probably the easiest peppermills that you can make. And I think you can see them right up there. This is the small peppermill. And all it does is you fill it up, and with the little press crank on there, it works as a peppermill. So the nice thing about it is it's just a real small blank. You can turn it, you put the finish on it, same way that we're going to do the next style, but it's a nice small little one. So if you're familiar with wanting pen mills, this is all done with bushings. It's on a pen manual. Nothing hard on that one.
I don't think I could make that one. I'd probably get it mistaken and a little light for my duck call, and it might not go well in the blind.
So this is a similar one,
It won't quack.
and it works exactly the same way. The difference being on these two, this one has a slightly more work on it because you're going to turn a little bit of the button that cranks it down. This one, you're not going to have to worry about turning the button. But very, very simple ones to make. We're going to get into that one. So the one that I do want to show you is one of my favorites. It's basically this mill right here. And this one, if you're getting it on here, I think it's called, on your website, it's a PK Grind 8. And the nice thing about this peppermill is all we're going to do, this whole base and this whole bottom, is any design that we want. The top is the fully enclosed peppermill. So you open up the pocket, you put your peppercorns in here, you close it up. It's all stainless steel. And the nice thing about it is it's a fully adjustable grind. So if I want to adjust the grind, I take the screw on top. If I turn it clockwise, I get a finer grind. Counterclockwise, I get a nice coarse grind on it. And all you're going to do is you put it over your food and you grind it this way. So as you see here in the mechanism, there's nothing to it. So the nice thing about it is there's no size that we have to worry about. There's no design criteria that we have to worry about. There's no bushings that we're going to have to match up and worry about. It's simply a very nice, easily self-contained unit.
I believe it's the 4A and 4B.
Okay, 4A and 4B.
I believe.
All right.
Grind 4. PK Grind 4.
PK Grind 4, PK Grind 4B.
Thank you.
So, so I do see in there, does Exotic Blanks sell the kits that you're using? Yeah, they will. They will have everything that we're going to show you tonight. You can get on Exotic Blanks. But I love this one, and this is going to be the first one that we're going to make. And you're going to see. So I want to bring up a couple things right away off the cuff. Is that tonight I'm going to be using Easy wood turning tools. They're my favorite tools because as a pen maker, they're the tools that I use the most. So if you're a pen maker, we're going to be doing that one. And another thing that someone asked me about recently when I talk about my lathe, this is a beautiful Powermatic 2014. This is the Powermatic. It's got the nice light on it, on top of it, so it gets everything that's here. So, you know, I've done jets and I've done Powermatics. My Powermatic at home is the slightly bigger anniversary edition. But if you're looking for the lathe and you want to know what we're going to be using, feel free to ask the questions on the side, and we will be answering everything that goes on the side. So with that, I'm also going to give you a whole idea of all the different kind of chucks that we can use for actually making peppermills. We can start out with something simple. We can progress to the other chucks, but I want to go through a whole little tutorial on the chucks. So the chuck that I've got on here now, the biggest thing that you want to do when I'm putting something in the chuck and I'm mounting something in the chuck is simply make sure that my blank is cut, my blank is flat. When I put it into the chuck, I'm going to crank it down. I'm making sure that it's flat on there. And I've got a little pressure with it on my hand. I've cranked it in. And I will turn it to the other side and crank it in also. So the nice thing about this chuck that's on there right now, it's got enough of a hole so I can drill through it. So I like to make my peppermills. You know what? Let's do a little tour of the peppermills that we're going to make. So I showed you the first one that we're going to make. This is an idea of where we can take it. So this is the same peppermill, same mechanism that's on top. And all I did was I turned it in Spectraply. So can you imagine if I'm making a Christmas gift or a gift for a friend and I know what their school colors are, or I know that they've got favorite colors, I can make the peppermill out of their favorite colors. The ones that we're ultimately going to get to tonight, I know everybody starts with peppermills and they turn a peppermill that basically looks like this. And I got to tell you, being honest with you, it's a little boring to me. But, you know, it's fine. It's a nice piece of maple, but it's a little bit of boring to me. And a couple things here. We're going to talk about how we do the tenons on these things. We're not going to do that in the ones that we're going to do today. So this one's a little bit boring. So what do I do? To, as Emerald would say, kick it up a notch. This one's done in marble wood. And I love the coloring on the marble wood. So by the end of tonight, you're going to be able to make this peppermill. If you want to go and do something even a little bit more complicated, how many people cast? So if you're a caster out there and you can cast peppermill blanks also. So this is a peppermill that's been cast. This is a maple burl on either side. And then all I did was I used Alumilite Slow. And John, if you want to talk at all about that, or if anybody has questions on it, Alumilite Slow. And I've got purple and white in here. And the big thing about casting is making sure that I get this up to a temperature that's going to allow me to maintain my color separation. So, John, I think when you and I talk, we recommend right around 95 to 105 degrees.
Yep, it all depends on the amount of colors. If you're using more colors than, say, 3, you might want to pour around 90, 95. If you're going to use maybe 2 or 3 colors, then you can push that limit. I've gone as far as 115 for good color separation, but it all depends on how much volume.
So, I mean, I like the color separation that I got in here. This is basically a purple and a little bit of white. Now, this is where it comes in really, really important. This is something that John teaches all the time, is when I go to cast this, I'm not using a stirring stick. I'm not mixing my colors. I am casting, I'm pouring, then I'm pouring the next color in, I'm pouring the color back on, I'm pouring that next color back in. I'm not using a stirring stick. That helps me not blend colors together, but to get the distinct colors that you have. So all I'm saying here is it's exact same technique that John teaches you when you're doing pen blanks, but you just got to be a little bit more stringent on some of the technique. So John, you have any comment on?
No, I mean sky's the limit with that stuff because you can alter it up, pour over things, through things, in things, flip cups, dirty cup pours. I mean sky's the limit, and you're just going to change the characteristic of the blank.
Did you want to do this at some point?
Yeah, we'll do that one.
Okay, just one in case you forgot it.
And I brought this one up a couple months ago, is you can also combine techniques, right? So I turned a peppermill here, and then instead of turning the top, I used a marine baseball. And all I did was I made the peppermill on the bottom out of a red, white, and blue Spectraply blank. And I used a marine baseball. Works the exact same way as any other peppermill. But all it gives me is the ability to become creative.
Where do you get marine baseballs, Mark?
I get the marine baseball on Amazon.
Okay.
I do a lot of my things on Amazon.
Okay.
Here's another one that I don't know that I showed this last time, but I love doing this one. I have a daughter who went to University of Iowa. And so this is Spectraply in the Iowa colors of gold and black. And then to just make it a little bit more significant to her, I found a golf marker. When you mark the ball on a golf green, drilled it in. And now I've got a very specific peppermill for her. So you can imagine that I could do this with fire departments and police departments, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Anytime that I can get one of those golf markers, all the different colleges that are out there, I can put it in there and I can make something that stands out and gives it a little bit of added recognition of the thing that I'm doing for the person.
Uniform buttons would be great for that.
Yeah, uniform
Military-
buttons would be another nice one.
Uniform buttons or hat buttons.
And I'm always debating too on where I want to put it. I can put it down on the bottom. I can put it up in the ball if I want to. I can do a couple more designs, putting it up on front and on back. Can you cast peppercorns in resin? Yes, you can, and I have done it. I do it quite a lot. So peppercorns are good. I've got peppermills that I've made out of pine cones in resin. Fortunately, I've got a friend who can supply me with an infinite supply of sweet gum pods. So I do have them done in
Cherry
sweet gum
pads.
pods. So the question comes up, do I need a license to sell the marine? I am going to talk tonight specifically about things that I'm making for other family members. I don't sell those. I will tell you this, I'm not selling that one, but I am using all officially licensed things. So when I'm doing it, everything you see here is licensed. Any questions, comments, anything so far? All right. So let's get
Wait,
into
Mark, just
Yes,
before you
sir.
start turning, there was one question earlier before I don't want to miss before there was an MPG follow-up. Is it in the same location this year?
Yes, it'll be in the exact same look. Well,
With
Minus the
without the
tent, yes.
tent.
yes,
Minus the
yes
tent.
and no. It's going to be in the
Yes.
same location, but this year we are promised that they did finish all the construction on it, and we are back in our building where we should be. So, did I answer them all?
Yep, I think so.
Okay, onward.
Okay, so let's go. So I'm going to do a little bit different tonight. Normally I would make the bigger peppermill, but I'm going to show you that we're going to make the smaller one first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in a manner and a mechanism that I'm going to use the same tooling, the exact same setup that I do for making the big one. So the thing about this smaller one that we're going to look at, this one, is there is absolutely no design that you have to keep in mind other than you have to have a hole that goes straight down the middle of it. And I know if you look in the instructions for this one, it's going to say drill a 1-inch hole. I'm going to use a 1 1/16 inch hole. Why? Because that's going to be the exact same drill bit that I'm going to use when I make my bigger peppermills. So rather than have all these different size drill bits sitting around, I'm going to use the exact same drill bit. I'm also going to drill a little bit of the bottom out here. And I'm using an inch and 5/16.
All right.
5/8. Yeah, sorry. An inch and 5/8 drill bit on this, Forstner bit on it. Why am I doing that? Because I need this drill bit for when I make the bigger peppermill, so I'm not going to have to buy more drill bits. And more importantly, I'm just going to narrow this up a little bit so that when this thing is sitting down on a table, I've got it a little bit more narrow and I don't have to worry about any kind of rocking on it. So all I'm doing is drilling that little bit of a hole out there for that one. So with that in mind, let's get ready and let's actually start to do this.
Let me jump in for just a
Sure.
second, Mark. There are questions about where is the location and so forth of MPG. Every week toward that time, you will see it in our email. And in the next couple of weeks, it'll be in there 2 or 3 times. You'll have the written information, which is much better than trying to dictate from here and give you an address in Hoffman Estates. So just pay attention to our ongoing emails and you'll get all the information on it several thousand times.
And if you have any questions, please send an email.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do see that the MidwestPenturnersGathering.com is up there. Everything is good on there except it's still last year's information. All right, we ready to go? All right. So what I did was I chucked this up. As I said, the most important part of this is the safety mechanism and the safety aspects of using this chuck. So I have turned it. I've locked it in on one side, rotating it around, locking it in on the other side. All I'm going to do is kind of get it close to there. And one of the big things that I do when I'm on a lathe, and this is going to be really important, I know I talk about it all the time when I'm pen making with you guys, is I don't ever turn off my lathe. My lathe is always on, and I always start it and stop it by using the speed control. And this is, you'll see this why now, is that if I had a pen on here and I wanted to crank it up and I started it and I was at 3250, it's going to be spinning a little faster than I really want it to be for doing something like this. So when I'm doing my drilling, I'm probably going to be no more than, this is 800. I think that's a pretty fair speed to do it.
You're getting questions about the chuck and the blank. What size are they?
The blank is 3x3.
Yeah, the blank is a 3x3 blank. And the chuck is the Vicmark. And this is the Vicmark. If Dean can look it up. Dean, this is the bigger Vicmark. I think this is the 120. So this is the Vicmark 120 chuck. And I've got about 3 or 4 chucks I'll show you tonight. You can pick out the ones that you like. I use this one. My favorite chuck, to be completely honest and transparent, my favorite chuck is the Easy Wood chuck. But just being completely honest with you, when I'm doing drilling, and I know I'm going to be drilling through and stuff like that, I'm going to be using a chuck. I'm going to use the chuck that, I don't want to say the wrong way, but if something happens to it, I'm not as disappointed as if I had my Easy Wood chuck. I love the Easy Wood chuck, and we'll get into that one. Yeah, so I do see here, I got the Easy Wood chuck. I'll show the Easy Wood chuck, JP. We'll be talking a lot more about that one when I'm going to be actually mounting the piece and holding it there. All right. So I'm going to turn this one on. And all I'm going to do, I put my hand on here just to make sure that I got a little bit. I introduce it. Drill my hole. Now, there's no science to what I did, but I like to have everything consistent, right? So what I'm doing is I'm actually letting the Forstner bit itself become my depth gauge. And so what I'm doing is I'm just simply drilling in to the bottom of it so that I've buried my Forstner bit. And that's how I do it on any of these small ones.
That's 1 5/8 inches, right? The drill
Yes.
bit was.
The original hole is only there so you can recess the pieces that you're going to put in later.
Yeah.
So when you look at it and say, well, it's only 3/8 of an inch deep, yes, because that's all you need for all the stuff that's going to go in there.
And it's just, as I said earlier, it just gave me a balance point.
And
Right,
now you're
and-
going to put in 1 1/16. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of a little bit
Yep.
so that I get a better balance point on it.
Yep.
So now I'm going to switch over to my 1 1/16 drill bit on here. And one of the things I'm going to show you is this is overkill, right? I don't need all this extender bit and everything else. When I'm drilling my bigger peppermills, I definitely need this bit. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I don't want to have to buy a whole bunch of different things. So what I'm going to do is simply use the drill bit with the extension, even though I don't need it. I can always, especially on any of these, and if you guys don't want to pick up the extension, that's fine. I could drill it in here, flip it around, put an orientation mark on here, and drill it in through the other way. Now, I'm going to hit this a couple times, and I want to talk about this point. If you're going to use it, especially when you're making peppermills, if you're going to use a drill bit, that's not necessarily going to go all the way through the blank. It's the funniest thing, and I've seen people talk about this, is that they'll drill as far as the drill bit can go in, then they'll stop, and they'll put it around the other way. Now, if that drill bit comes up maybe 1/4 of an inch short or 1/2 of an inch short, and I go and I mount it here, unless I've precision mounted that in the exact same spot when I flipped it over, it's going to be off a little bit. So if I only drill it halfway to here, and then I come in from the other side and I meet it over here, if I'm off a little bit way up in here, nobody can see it, nobody can feel it, nobody's going to notice it. So hopefully that makes sense for everybody. So fortunately, if you're going to do a lot of peppermills, this is a really good investment to get the extension on here. And as I said, you don't need it for the smaller ones, but I'm just going to use it for the smaller ones. So I'm going to do the same thing. Put it up. Make sure I'm locked in. I'm going to stop. Clear it out. Put it in. Stop. Clear it out. Now, through the magic of TV, I'm not going to drill this whole thing. You know, they always say, you know, nothing's worse than watching water boil. There is. The thing that's worse than watching water boil is someone actually going on a lathe and watching them drill something out, whether it's a pen blank or anything else.
One comment that you should make, Mark, you are holding the Jacobs chuck the whole time in and out and in and out. That is a very good idea. I used to make these things years ago, and if you don't hold it and it happens to get caught in that peppermill, it's a very exciting experience that you probably don't want to do real often.
Yep. So I have my hand on it. One thing, you know, and I thank you. One of the other things that I should mention is, I know this is going to seem silly, but I do a lot of these things, and I do a count method. When I first start and I drill this in, I know that I can crank the handle 20 times. And that'll get me, and I can still pull it out with absolutely no problem. Then the next time I go in, I'm only doing 10 cranks on there, and then I pull it out. And then finally, when I'm chasing it all the way through to the other side, I'm only doing 5. 5 cranks, pull it out. 5 cranks, pull it out. Because you're going to get a lot of buildup of that dust sitting behind here. And I don't want to ever pull it out where it could pull this out of the chuck. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, you know, thank you for bringing that point up. It reminded me of a good point on how I wanted to do this one. So any questions or anything on actually drilling a peppermill? I'm going to take it as no.
None that I've seen, Mark. Everybody's too busy talking about the Vic, Mark. That giant chuck has got them all just enthralled.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's a really nice chuck. I love this thing. It's a great chuck.
And there are other 4-inch chucks. I mean, the chuck itself is something that you can get, but they're pricey.
A couple things I wanted to talk about though on a chuck. in the way that I did this. Notice I could have put this between, in the comments too, I could have put this between two point centers. I could have rounded the blank and then turned it on a smaller chuck.
That's the way I always do.
Yeah, and because I have this larger chuck, I want to point this out here real. Notice that when it's mounted on here, I've got it square and I've got these points in between the chuck jaw openings.
Mhm.
That gives me the ability to mount this on here and it's safe as heck.
Mhm.
I don't have to worry about anything happening on this chuck. So if you like that chuck, here's a slightly smaller Vicmark chuck. This is the Vicmark. I think this is the Vicmark 100. Yeah, this is the Vicmark 100 chuck. And let's put this in for doing the next step, just so you guys can see just different ways of doing things and different ways of chucking.
So Marcia did ask a question about taking the bit in and out. I don't know that I understand it, but you want to try and
What's the question?
It says when you're taking the bit in and out, should it be spinning both ways? I don't know that I caught what that
You
meant,
mean,
but
should you stop the lathe in order to take the bit out? The answer to that is no.
No, wait.
If you're asking something else, please be more specific because that's the way I'm reading it. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to stop the lathe for taking it out, only because it would be impossible.
Yeah, well,
It makes it really, really hard.
And you don't have to go in reverse to back it out.
no.
So maybe
no.
that's what she meant too.
Okay, that's good.
Do you have a live? Do you have the live center to this thing?
In the end here.
What?
Let's.
Like that one better?
So if I didn't answer the question right, please let me know.
she said, "Yep, keep the lathe running." So it sounds like it's good.
All right. So notice now what I did was I went to a smaller Vicmark chuck, the 100, and what it gives me is, I want to point out right here, there's a lot of room for me to be moving my tools around under here, and I don't have to worry about my tool getting anywhere close to my lathe here. And then I just simply use my live center on the front end of this. So once again, you already have this stuff. I just use the long jaws for doing this one. So if you're not familiar with, I mean, I'm sure we're all familiar with turning, but if we're pen turners, some of this stuff might be a little new to you. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to spin it around. I'm going to make sure that I've got my clearance on it. And I am going to use my Easy Wood tools. And so I'm going to make sure that you can't really get a good view of it, but I'm going to just point it out here, is that my tool is set up to go exactly halfway onto the tool rest. Do you want to talk about that other rest that you have?
Right there.
Okay. So it's set up to go exactly halfway up on the tool rest. And when you're using these tools, the proper way for this tool to be introduced is always like this. I never like to see this. This is the scariest thing in the world. I've seen on Facebook and on some Facebook websites that there's also a negative rake cutter that you can use. Works great if you're doing the half wood, half acrylic. But I've seen people say, well, I don't need the negative rake cutter. I'll just introduce the tool like this. I'll tell you, all you've done is pre-flip the tool across the room for anybody. Never, ever, ever try to engage this at that angle. Simply put it in here, spend the money to get the negative rake cutter that you're going to be on here on this one. So always on the flat. Now, there is something that, well, Ed, you want me to talk about
No,
this
you
one?
go ahead. You're doing great.
So there is a new tool rest. Is it going to be exclusive to Exotic Blanks?
We don't really know yet.
There's a new tool rest that Ed is working out, and I love this. He just showed it to me today, and I honestly said I want one for my Powermatic. It's got, notice here, this is flat. It's not round. What does that give me? Is that with these carbide tools, that's perfect. I can't turn like this. I can't turn like that. It's going to be a flat tool rest that gives me the best of all worlds. So that tool is always, always flat. So if you have any questions about that, that'll be, we'll talk a little bit about it a couple times during the day, but I can't wait to get one for my power.
They will be available for virtually every lathe. The gentleman that makes it has given me an awful lot of information about how to make it match your lathe so that it will fit right. But at the present time, the only thing that I got, we've been working on this for the last 4 days, so it's a brand new thing. And this one will fit my jet. But we will have them available with all the different size posts. And there will be something on our website that shows you how to measure your lathe and what size you need so that you can have a flat tool rest. To me, that was an interesting thing. One of the things that I hear all the time is people having trouble turning. And when you talk to them at some length about turning with a carbide tool, they talk about, oh yeah, I make a shearing cut with it.
Oh,
And let me just say that we have Easy Wood on the call here tonight, I believe, and I would venture a guess that they will tell you a shear cut is not a great idea with a carbide tool. So essentially, this is a great way to make it. The tool will sit at the right angle because it will be parallel to the floor, and that's what you should do anytime that you're working with a carbide tool. So way more than information than you wanted, but in the next couple of weeks we'll flesh this out, and you'll see a page on our website that will allow you to show us what you need, and then we will get you the right one. And they're not expensive; they're under $30. So I think it's a great product.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be fun, I think.
So now when we're going to actually get into the turning part of this one, face mask is important. Normally I'm going to wear an N95 mask. I won't do it tonight just because I'm going to be talking over it. Tool always goes in perfectly flat. I'm going to give you a couple tips. I don't know how many people here use carbide tools, or especially the Easy Wood brand of carbide tools. They're my favorite. Whenever I put a new cutter head in, I always line it up so the top says EWT. I always put a piece of blue painter's tape on here. And then that way, that tells me how many times I've rotated the cutter head. So on this time, when I put the new cutter head in here, I say 1. When I rotate the cutter head, I'm always going to rotate the cutter head counterclockwise. And here's the reason why. Is when I introduce this tool in, I'm going to introduce this tool in straight on. Or you'd see it here. It's going to go straight on. So this part of the tool is going to take a beating. When I need to make a fine cut with it, or just kind of, go over a cut, I'm going to rotate the tool to about 45 degrees and run it along my tool rest that way. So then that way, that's always the fresh edge. The thing about it is, if I then take this cutter head and I rotate it counterclockwise, this part was the fresh edge now becomes the one that's going to get the beating. And then this part, which has never been used before, rotates over and it's going to be my fine cut.
I think you're a little bit not clear. When you talk about rotate the tool, point out that you're talking about rotating it parallel to the floor. You're not talking about, because you're raising it up and down when you're showing it, obviously, because of the camera. But what you're really saying is you want to go left and right while still horizontal to the floor.
And I'll show that when I'm doing the cut. Thank you. That's an excellent point. So I don't have any other questions.
So there was one that we got not too long ago. It said, do you find that crud, I lost it because I had it on for a little while. Do you find that steel passes vibration more than cast? I think they were talking about the tool rests at the time, I think.
I've got the rest. Yeah. So the manufactured one is cast. And the new ones out are steel. I actually use a lot of the steel ones, and I don't have any issues with vibration. I've replaced a lot of mine with the round steel, and never had an issue.
I like them. The reason I do it too, and you're probably the same way, I like being able to have different form factors. Mm-hmm. And so depending on, especially like here, and it's hard for you guys to see this here, the tool rest, as I keep cutting closer, this is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, but I don't have as much room to move the banjo all the way in because of the fact that I've got the chuck on here. And so if I can go to a smaller tool rest, I'm going to be able to move it in. So I do have a series of these, and I always do my initial turning with the manufactured one. I love that thing. And then if I'm going to do something a little bit more detailed, that's when I'd be using these. But for pen making, this is all I use.
Mm-hmm.
We ready to go?
Far away.
Because I want to make, in the next 4 hours, I want to make sure we have all this.
You're half hour in.
So I'm going to crank this up a little bit. Tool's going to go completely flat. I'm going to tuck it into me. Anybody see that color?
Dean, look at the other camera and see if that's helpful to you. We moved it.
This wood is spectacular. This wood is completely spectacular. So now, just for safety, I'm gonna
Tool.
Yeah. See what you're doing. Yeah, well, the background is not a great thing, but at least they can see the yeah, I know. I have
So
to put up more blocks.
So what I did was I want to get my tool rest still within about that 1/8 of an inch. So what kind of wood is it? Spalted tamarind. And I'm telling you, if that's not ridiculous, oh my God. So I'm going to crank it back up.
Yes, that is really dry points. You can see enough.
Completely round. Completely round. Man, is that beautiful. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go into design. And I'm not going to, this isn't a course on peppermill design or design. It's really up to you. But what I do know is, right, there's the rule of 1/3, 2/3. And so that's just one of those magic things that is very, very pleasing to the eye, the 1/3, 2/3 idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go about 1/3 into my blank, and I'm going to make that little dimple cut. So let's just do that one and get it out of the way.
Mark, what speed are you running?
The Dick Sing question. What speed are you
Yes.
running at?
So when I'm at home, I run it at, yeah. I did hear Dick say, last time. I'm running it right around 3250, which is about the speed that I have everything at my house. So this one's going right around 3250. So can you hear the hum?
Basically, you want to run, when you're turning anything, turn it at the speed that you're comfortable with. I will turn this at 3,700 with stop speed of that lake. But that's all a matter of what you're comfortable with. If you're doing turning at this size, if you're nervous about it, it will not go well. So do it when you're comfortable with it, and it will. What I've said for years, and I heard it on TV the other day. If you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, you're right.
So the thing about it is, the faster that you get more comfortable with, and the faster that you go, you get less resistance,
Yep.
and you're going to get a cleaner cut. So yeah, I know that you ran yours even faster than I'm running mine. It's only because my I've got a 3250 at home.
Yep.
Top speed on it is 3250.
Yep.
Well, plus you have to take into consideration how sharp are your tools and how fast are you moving your cut, or how much are you trying to remove. So
Yep.
it all has to coordinate together, or you're going to burn your wood. Or
It's a long way of saying there's no right answer.
So I'm going to go about a third of the way in. I'm going to cut my dimple in here.
Eight hundred RPMs was drilling. So yeah, we started at 800 RPM drilling the blank. Now once you're actually turning the blank from the outside diameter, that's when you can succeed.
So there's my first cut. It's about 1/3, 2/3. Wasn't that hard. You just saw I do want to point out, I mean, all of this can be done with traditional tools also.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you, making that cut with a traditional tool
Mm-hmm.
is 10 times harder than what I just did.
Yep. Yep.
That was a very, very simple cut. You see, all I did was I went in and I wiggled it.
Yep.
So now I'm going to do the bottom. So I'm simply going to take my tool. So I gave myself a little bit of a bottom lip. And I'm going to go up somewhere right around here and blend it in. And I'll show you why in a second. So now I blended it in, right? So I got all my blending done. Now I'm just going to worry about giving my top a little bit lighter look to it and rotating it on either side. And if you feel it, it's incredibly smooth. This one?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. If the guy says it doesn't look stabilized, I think he's right.
It's beautiful though. So if you ask me, that's enough. I could finish it here and say, boy, that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
But not me. We're going to go on.
One thing about stabilized, Don and I have talked about this the last couple of weeks. I had a theory that you could dye pens after the fact once they're turned and do that on the lathe, and then you'd have more control of the color. I have a whole lot of wood that I have stabilized, and so I started trying to do it with Buckeye burl that was stabilized. Stabilized wood doesn't take dye worth a damn.
Nope.
So if you're planning on doing something like this, a peppermill, and you have any aspirations to possibly change the color or do something unique to it, you probably don't want to have it stabilized first. Yeah, this is an excellent example. Go ahead, Mark.
So here's one standard. Let's get it in camera shot. Standard simple piece of maple. And then what I did was I trans tinted it.
Mhm.
And I did 3 colors. I put a blue on there. I know you're getting a lot of glare on it. In real life, it's kind of, I like the look of this one. I put a blue on there, and then I just dabbed some green on there, and I dabbed a little bit of yellow on it, and then sanded some back. I left the top maple, so you can still see that it's wood. But Ed, I think this is your point. This is exactly what you were trying to do.
Precisely what I was trying to do, and I found out stabilized wood doesn't work.
So let's go and let's actually do some sanding on here. And because I am starting to get a little bit of a thing on here,
just don't breathe.
we'll tough it out.
You're fine as long as you don't.
Yeah. I'm holding my breath. I'm going to sand this out. People ask what grit are you starting at? Whatever grit that you feel that you want to turn to. Whatever grit you feel you're most comfortable with. In this case, I think I'm starting at 150. If it was a pen, I'd be starting at a much much lower grit, higher grit, depending on what you're talking about.
Higher number.
Higher number, lower coarseness. But for what I'm doing here, so that's the first one. I find that as I'm going down and I'm progressing, I don't need to spend as much time on any of the other grits. My little bit of added touch. If you ask me, that looks spectacular. But I probably should leave it. But I don't want to. So what I want to do is add something to draw your attention to look at. So I'm going to use the beading tool, the beading cutter from Easy Wood Tools. You can see here, this is, I think there's 4 cutters. This is the third on the biggest size. And so what I'm going to do when I actually introduce this tool, as Ed points out, tool is always going to be flat on my tool rest. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to nick it or kiss it with one, and then I'm going to roll it in with the other one. And you'll get a much better. I can take that. We're going to do that anyway. So I'm going to nick it with one and then roll it in with the other. I'm going to turn the lathe much slower, maybe 300 to 400. I find the center where I want it. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to walk it over. I'm going to center this part of the cutter on the top of this one and roll it in. Crank it up a little bit more. Then I'm going to center this part of the cutter now on the bottom of that first cut.
I think I mentioned Mark as a demonstrator for Easy Wood Tools. You now know why.
So there's my.
It's very visible with your blue smock in the background. It helps.
So one thing though is now I would go through and I consider sanding this, but there's one other thing that we can do. If you look at this, yeah, this is not that distinctive yet, right? I can see the pattern in there, but I can't really see it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use.
Do you, real quick, you want to pick up that beading tool?
Sure.
Just, and if nothing else, so that they can see how this cuts in
thank
here.
You. Yeah, thank you.
Or just.
I'll go back in one of the beads that I have. 4 would be a weird number, Dean. I know.
It's a demonstration,
I know it's just a demo,
but it's too pretty.
but that piece is too beautiful. So, all right. So I'll do it with, I'll just go back in there. and I'll just recut one of these. So can you see it from where we're at? So I'm simply going to just put the tool in there. And you can hear it, right? The first two I wasn't really cutting because I'm already round. That third one, I could hear it because I still needed to make it a little bit round. And that was a great point. Dean brought up something that I forgot. Is I have sharp edges on this one and this other. So what I'll do is I'll take my point tool. Where are we at? Yep. Can we go to the front, Dean? I'll take my point tool and I'm going to go in and I'm just going to nick it on an edge.
Hold it right down on the wood.
Yep.
There you go. Put it right where you're going to cut it.
Yep. So I'm going to take this at an angle.
Well, on top of the. Okay, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this at an angle right here. And then I'm just going to wiggle it in. Then I'm going to go on the other side and roll it in.
Set it up here and show so they can see it.
Yeah. All right.
Set it right on top of the wood.
So I'm not on the tool rest when I'm doing it. I'm going to take this here at a little bit of an angle and just roll this a little.
That's good. That's good.
And then I'm going to take it on this side and just roll it a little. And so let me do this. And it's not much. That was it. That's all I needed to do. Then I'm going to completely move my body and rotate my body so I can get it here. So I'm coming in at the other angle. And that's all I wanted to do. I know it's a simple, small little step, but it makes a dramatic difference. Now I don't have any static lines in here. I've got a lot of rolling curves.
Yep. Yeah, it's like a half beat at top and bottom.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So now I can go through and I can sand all this stuff out, but I'm not going to do that. What I want to do is I want to make those lines a little bit more distinctive. So this is the Easy Wood burning kit, burning wire. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this thing up, and I'm going to go a little bit faster. I want to make this thing smoke. You'll see when I first put it in, you'll see when it actually starts to do the burn. It'll start to smoke. There it went. Can you see the smoke coming out of it? Just letting it sit in there, letting it cause a burn.
Now those wires come in a whole bunch of different widths.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're doing.
That's a great question. The honest answer, if I'm completely transparent and honest, I don't know. This is the one that I always use,
Perfect.
and that's all it is.
Perfect.
But now notice when I stopped it, can you see how much more distinctive those lines are that are in there?
And it smells better too.
Yeah, it smells great.
It really does. It's like a campfire.
So now what I'll do is I'll simply, because I don't want to remove anything there, I'll go back to my highest grit, and I'm just going to simply ease over any fault that I had in it. And there you go. I got a peppermill. So the next question is, how do you finish a peppermill? And let me get it off. So there's my peppermill. I think it looks spectacular. And I'm going to use, this is the PK Grind 4. And if you open this up,
There's a little piece of
Yep. there's always the nut that's never screwed on.
That's it.
and 2 screws. So now what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to screw the little nut on there. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna give it back to you. And then I am conscious when I'm actually putting this together, which is the face I want to show the most. And so I will find the face that I want to show the most. And one thing that I have a huge advantage on, and I talked to Dean about doing this. I don't know if you guys have made a lot of these, but what they do in this PK Grind 4, there's in the instruction set, which I know we all throw away. There is a template on here. If you can see it, yep, there's a template down here to show you. You can cut this out, and it'll show you where you're going to drill your holes on it. One huge advantage you have is if you have multiple friends who have 3D printers. I had Dean 3D print me up basically a little jig here, marker. And the nice thing about it is I then just simply put that in. Well, let me get exotic blanks, the words to look right. Just there we go.
There you go. There you go.
And then I just used a drill, and that's going to have it right in where I want it. So, but I got to put a finish on here. Let's talk a minute about peppermill and finishes, right? In general, if I'm making a big peppermill, I'm not going to finish the inside. And we'll get to that one when I'm actually making the bigger peppermill. I am not going to finish the inside. On these smaller ones, because the peppercorns are not going to ever be really on the side, I will spray the inside of this one. And my finish, or my preferred finish on it, is 2 coats of shellac, 2 coats of shellac, then I let it sit 24 hours, then I sand it. Sorry, and I don't even sand it. I just take 4/0 steel wool, and I put it back on the lathe, I'll 4/0 steel wool it down, and that's the finish I get on it. When I have that done, I think everybody's going to know what my favorite finish on it is. Then I'm going to use lacquer shot. And let's show you how easy that is. So when I put my finish on and I do my spraying, I've got a little jig at home that I made, or a little stand that I have where I can mount these things. So I'm simply going to take my peppermill, I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to spray it. And then it can sit in a little jig that I made that holds this up there. So sorry I didn't bring a picture of it. Hopefully that makes sense.
Picture of field goal.
Yeah, basically that's what it is. It's just a little stand that's holding it. And so this one is ambrosia maple. This one already has its shellac on there. So what I'm going to do is we'll actually put the finish on over the course of the next 10 minutes. So I'm simply going to take lacquer shot, and I'll spray it nowhere near the camera so Dean doesn't get mad, because I think these are Dean's cameras. I'm going to spray it off to the side. I don't know if you can tell, there's coat number 1. You can start to see, you can noticeably see the shine line in there. Let's put this on the side, and let's start on peppermill number 2, which is a more traditional peppermill. Anybody have any questions, comments, anything you want to ask?
One thing I will add, you talked about the instruction sheets and how we all throw them away. I actually bought a 3-ring binder with those clear pages, and every time I do something new, I save the instruction sheet, put in it, so if I ever have a problem, I can flip through the book later and find the instructions.
I have, excellent that you brought it. I have that for every single pen kit that I use, or as I'd like to say, component set, but I knew I'd wanted me to say kit.
The thing
So
about that is 20 years later, when you're doing something completely different, somebody says, I need instructions for this. I got a giveaway. you have the instructions.
I still do.
And I've got instructions that are 20, 25 years old. People talk about the drill bits that used to be step drill bits. I got the instructions for that kit.
Yep.
So yeah, it's kind of neat to keep that stuff.
Well, and it gives you tube length. If you ever need to reproduce a tube, you've got your dimensions.
Mhm.
So it just comes in handy.
One thing I want to mention about Mark doing the spraying of that, there's always been a problem with lacquer in that you can try to make a lacquer finish on turned items, and it used to be it would not dry. If your humidity was over 50%, you could pretty much write it off. And I mean, I had stuff in my shop, it was a basement shop, but I had stuff in my shop for over a week and it would not dry. So with lacquer shot, that has not been a problem at all. But the other thing to be aware of, you will minimize that problem considerably if you use a lot of thin coats as opposed to spraying the heck out of it on one coat and then it'll never dry.
Yeah, I in general with lacquer shot for me on my Peppermills, 4 coats and I'm done.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's only 3, but every once in a while I'll put that 4th coat on there.
So there was a question asking you. You put 2 coats of lacquer shot, or you put lacquer shot over your shellac.
So 2 coats of shellac, let it sit and dry for 24 hours. Take it back on my lathe, steel wool it off, which is what you saw me do. And then 4 coats of lacquer shot. And after that, it's up to you. You could put it back on the lathe and steel wool it if you have. But I've actually found with lacquer shot, I don't have to do that. And if I really want to let it, look great, 24, 48 hours later, I'll put it on my Beal buffing system and finish it off with a glare for a magnificent shine. But you'll see it tonight. I'll tell you, there's going to be a lot of people you don't need to go to that extra stuff.
While we're getting switched over here, we're about halfway through the show. It's 7 o'clock. Do you want to show the Peppermill that's the first giveaway?
I believe that's this one back here.
Go ahead, Ed.
Oh,
Is that the one? Oh, I thought she was giving the one in the box away.
she giving one in the box away or she giving one?
I think it was
I thought it was the box
Yeah.
one. John
Yeah,
had
so-
it.
Okay,
box
the
ones.
box one?
Yep.
Okay, that'll be the one that Mark was using up there. Showed you out of the box. We'll put it back into the box.
And I'll actually put the instructions
With
back
the
in.
instructions.
With the
sheet,
instructions. You gotta have a whole set of information.
Yeah. Did you have the drawing? You type pepper.
I imagine
Thank you, John.
that's crosshatch. Maybe not. They don't need the crosshatch. Okay. Okay, no. Why don't you keep on going, Mark? And
Oh,
Yep,
no,
I was
I-
going to say, go ahead. Keep going, Mark. Go. Let this will scroll back for a while.
No, because I want to see if I win.
you didn't.
Oh.
You did
All right, so
not
now
win.
we're gonna do more what I'll say traditional peppermill. And so that's gonna be one that looks more like this. The traditional peppermills. I'm not gonna do the drilling on here. We already talked about the drilling. I would use my drill. I'm gonna drill this in, then I'm gonna go all the way through. I know there's gonna be a couple things that I'm gonna show you tonight that's gonna be completely different than how anybody else does these things. And one of the things that I'm going to tell you is I know there's a whole set of rules for how to drill this in and get it precise so that this always comes off in the right spot and everything else. I don't do that, and knows this one. I'll take all my Peppermills, I'll buy the 12-inch Peppermill kit, and I'll always adjust my stem. So then this way, the design is more important. Wow, that was kind of cool. A little fly came up to me. The design is more important to me. And so that way I can get my shape in here and I can get my round ball in here. And I don't have to worry about making sure that everything, I want it to look good as opposed to worrying about whether I got the height right on it or not. So I would take my drill press, and so I'm going to unchuck this one. I am not going to bother putting on the drill, but what I am going to do is I'm going to show you how to turn this as if you're a pen maker, and you're going to see this is just so much easier than anybody else teaches on how to do these things. So I have got this is you guys have this one. The Morris taper number 2 system. And this is one that I advocate for everybody when you're doing pen making. This is the one that I advocate. It's got a round side on one end that spins, and then it's just got a simple dead center on the other side. And so I'll put the dead center in on one side. I'll put the round center in on the other side. And the one thing that I found, do you want to talk about what these bushings are from? They're not from a Peppermill.
No, they're from a kaleidoscope.
They also look like the salt and pepper shaker
Yeah.
bushings. I believe
So-
it's the same.
This is the bushing set from Kaleidoscope.
Right.
And the wild part about it is I will use this. The nice thing about it is this part of it is an inch and 1/16. So I can put this on this side here. Then what I can do is just basically take my Peppermill, push it into there. It's got that right hole. Push this on this side. Get this out of my way. Crank it up, lock it down. Crank it in. And now I'm ready to turn this. The beauty of this system, of doing it this way, is I have seen so many people try to explain how you get the top to match perfectly with the bottom. Like on something like on this Peppermill. Sorry, that's behind the camera. So on this Peppermill, when I want the top to meet the bottom, this spot right here is critical to me to get the match up. But all I did was I turned this down to this bushing. So I turned the bottom down to that bushing, and I turned the top down to that bushing. And so it's always going to be perfect, that center point. So I don't need to worry about turning it here and then pushing it in or anything else. One of the other things that I'm going to do is when I drill the top for this, and I'm trying to find it, it's this one. When I drill the top to this, notice that there's no stem on here, and I'm not going to turn a stem on here. What I did was I drilled, instead of just drilling a 7mm or 8mm hole all the way through it, I drilled the hole and then I countersunk an 1/16 hole about 3/4 of an inch in. Why did I do that? It's because I use these 3D printed inserts. And I'll glue it in. And if you look at this 3D printed insert, it's got a square peg in the middle of it so that all my mechanism is going to go through and I'm going to be able to push it right through. Right here. Oh, thank you. Perfect. And so what I'll do is I'll use this. What does that buy me? Is then I'm not going to lose, and we'll put it right here too, Dean. Thanks. When I'm doing this, if I line this up right to there and tighten it up, notice my pattern around the top. I didn't lose anything. My pattern matches on this side. When I rotate it here, it matches it up on this side. When I rotate it back over here, it matches it up. If I was to actually cut that tenon on here, whatever that depth of that tenon is going to affect my pattern. Now, on something that's simple, I'm not going to worry about it. But on something like this, where it's very elaborate, and I get that pattern to match up perfectly. It's the same thing on any of the, even the simpler Peppermills like this marble wood. I can get on the side, you'll see my grain pattern matches all the way through. Is there any questions or something that you guys are looking for?
Why don't you unscrew the top and show them how that piece fits? That you've got the printed piece in the top half.
Yep.
And how it slides in there.
So I'm going to unscrew the nut on here. I'm going to hold my finger here just to hold it in. And there it is. Is it visible on the TV?
Mm-hmm.
And you epoxy that in the top, correct?
Yep. 5-minute epoxy lets it sit in. There is a trick to it. Thank you for bringing this up. Is to make sure that I have my hole centered. on there and centered on here. I'll only put epoxy. I'll only put epoxy on the face here and about a 1/16 of an inch here. And when I put this into the plug on top, like this, I won't let it dry this way. I'll actually put the stem of the peppermill through it to make sure that that's always going to be free and go. And I'll let this sit on there that way. But it'll be round at that point. And I'll show you how I do it, because I'll put it round and I'll put it on top of the bottom of the peppermill, so it'll all make sense when I'm done.
1 hour.
We're at 1 hour? All right. So any questions on any of this stuff so far? Dean, anybody have any questions? So before I get into that one, I am going to take my peppermill that I made earlier. I'm going to put it on the side here, and I am going to lacquer shot it one more time. So I do the top, the bottom. And I know that for me, it's 5 coats to go all the way around. You can see that shine line's coming through.
Whoops.
Don't want to do that. There we go.
Whoops. I was trying to scan it over so you could see it, and then it went
Gotcha.
the other way.
That's all right. They can see the CNC too.
Looking nice and shiny.
It is. All right. So let's get on to making this one and see what we got under the covers here.
Those pieces with the ends, like the bush.
That's the centers. I'll link to the centers for them in a second.
Okay. So put it on, make sure that it spins. I'm no more than 1/8 of an inch around here when I have it, when I rotate it down and around. Pick up my Easy Wood tool. There's a couple different tools, right? I can use the square tool on the wood and push my way in. I'll tell you, if I've got this and it's tuned, I love just using the round tool. They always say, I've seen professional demonstrators, and one of the things that I've always seen a professional demonstrator talk about is if they were stranded on a desert island and they only had one tool, what would they have? And 90% of them say that they'd love to have their bowl gouge, their 3/8 inch bowl gouge, their 1/2 inch bowl gouge. I'm going to tell you this. I want to use my Easy Wood tool. Why? Is in a half hour when they have a go to grind it and put an edge on it, because they're on a desert island, they don't have a grinder. I've got 40 hours on this. Then I can rotate the cutter, get another 40 hours. I got 160 hours before I'm bored because I've got the tool on here.
And when you kill a zebra, you're able to turn their bone much better with carbide than you
Yeah.
So you gotta hope they're a zebra on that.
So I'm going to just turn this up a little bit. Make sure I'm locked down. You guys getting dusty? I'm trying to turn towards the other side, but I can throw a little your way. I'm just trying to get it round. I'm getting to the point where I've got a little bit too much of a gap. Well, I think this is going to be beautiful too. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to move my tool rest in a little bit. So we found something that's actually more boring than drawing.
I feel like we should have some music playing.
Okay, let's crank it up. Oh, I'm having a hard time with it. Flipping it. There it goes.
I've turned elm. I don't know if I've ever turned Siberian.
One
So
thing,
there we
you
go.
might, one thing you may want to comment on, Mark, you're using the finishing tool, that's fine. But they do make a rougher.
Yep.
And the rougher is square. However, optionally, you can get what they call an R2, which is a 2-inch radius as opposed to dead square. So I use that one. And the reason I use that one is because it has the rounded corners. And I believe I can take more off at a time by going back and forth with that rounded corner and essentially working it to get this a little faster. Carbide tools are wonderful, but yet you do have to keep relatively shallow cuts.
Hmm.
So just another option.
I'd use a 5A spindle roughing gouge, but
Well, yeah, that's not a carbide tool.
but it's not a carbide tool, so.
Actually, I use a skew. No, John and I were just talking about that. And our answer is no. Never
Yeah,
turned it.
I've turned Chinese elm, I think some Dutch elm, and that was a little splintery, but it turned fine.
China and Siberia
But
aren't that far apart.
I haven't used, I don't know, Siberian elm, if there's any difference.
All I know is I'm happy that I'm not the guy cleaning the floor tonight.
No, that'll be me. Listen.
All right, so same thing, right? I'm going to do a bigger peppermill. Now what do I want to do? I want to establish a little design in it. So once again, the rule of thirds is going to play for me. So I'm going to go about here, and I'm going to go about here, and I'm going to go all the way in. And I'm going to crank it up like Ed would say. So I'm going to find right about here. So I made a U channel there. I'm going to go right about here. So I don't know, Dean, can we go from the front? So you can see all I did was I took the blank, divided in roughly about a third, did it by eye. So this is about a third. If I moved it over here, I'm pretty close. I'm a little bit big over here. I mean, I could have notched it all out and had it perfect, but for me, for this is what I wanted to do. And all I did was I put some little channels in there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and take this part, roll it, and roll it back in. And then we're going to take this and roll it. So if you want to stay that angle, Dean, that might work. So now I'm going to take this part and roll it over a little bit. Roll it thin. So you see, all I did was I softened that edge. Now here, I'm going to just take it. It's a little chunky still. What do you guys think? A little chunky? So I like it a little bit better that way. Wasn't a lot. Now what I like to do is I like to finish that bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this in here. Roll it straight. And then just roll over my edge. So one thing I want to point out, when I'm doing this, and if you haven't done a lot of turning before, or you're kind of new to this part, or something big, is when I'm actually making my cut, I let the tool touch the piece of wood where I'm at, and then my eyes immediately go to the other side. And I'm watching my form come out on the other side. Hopefully that makes sense. Do I have any questions on here?
Yeah, a couple.
Ed's going to go get the kaleidoscope bushings. Sawmills are ceramic, peppermills are stainless steel. You cannot put salt in a peppermill, but the irony is if you do the ceramic ones, you could put pepper in the salt mill. And they will grind perfectly fine. So any questions about anything else at this point, Dean, as to where I'm at? All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this side. I'm going to make that top a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to push it into the bushings. So I want to just give that top. Made it a little bit smaller. And now I'm going to work it from around here. Into that bushing. And I know it's got an awkward profile right now. So what I'm going to do is I want to make that profile. I'm going to make it a little bit more distinct right here. So I don't know if you guys caught that cut. I heard Dean talking in my ear. I got jumpy.
I have a question on sanding tool.
Yeah, it's the first. Normally, I've got Van Halen playing at 10 in the back of my head. I heard Dean talking in my ear. So sorry about that, Dean. My fault. Go ahead. Yeah, well, that.
Yeah, would sanding sealer give you a better finish? But I mean, essentially that's what shellac is.
So yeah, sorry, Dean. If you kind of cut out there, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And so yes, you can use sanding sealer. Sanding sealer works great. I used to use sanding sealer. Used to use it all the time. Anything else, Dean? All right, so I got my profile down. I'm going to do a little bit more just to kind of refine it a little bit. I don't like this little part right here. I'm watching the other side. I'm not looking at the peppermill.
I think the nice thing about a peppermill is there's no set shape.
No.
It's all what feels good to you.
No, and I'll tell you, I know that there's a lot better peppermill makers than I do. My shape is simple. I know that there's people who put a lot of beautiful shape into them. I like to keep mine simple. It's just a very, very simple, easy piece. We're talking about shape. There's one that I do want to turn at some point. I've always thought it'd be kind of cool to make a peppermill that's segmented, and then I make it look like the bottle for my Dream of Genie. Anybody have any questions so far on what I did? All I'm going to do now is go a little bit slower, around 1,000. I've got a bushing here, right? So all I'm trying to do is get my stuff up to match my bushing. Everybody left and left me in the room all by myself. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'll tell you this. If I was to do something, one thing that I do want to also point out, it's not uncommon for me to actually, when I get down to the finer and finer grits, every other one, start by going the way I am. But remember, if there's this one, you don't have that problem because there's no grain in here. But if I did have the grain, I would then every other one just stop and actually go with the grain and get that all down. I mean, you ask me, there's a little spot right here So if you're doing peppermills, another couple things is as you get into here, can you see that there's a, I don't want to say it's a flaw in the wood because it's the piece that makes this wood beautiful, but there's a little bit of, I don't want to say tear out, but there's a little bit of like where the knot, there's a knot and there's a knot hole in it. It wouldn't be uncommon for me to go in and take the orange glue boost, spray it, fill it with orange glue boost, and then put it back on, spray it again, and then actually finish it off that way. Is there a question about something?
There was a question about bushings, and I want to make sure that we have the bushing.
This is going to be probably when I'm done, right around a 9-inch. So I'll use the 10-inch. I'll use the 10-inch set for it. Yeah, I'll tell you, as I said earlier, there's only like $1 difference on what that shaft size is. And I always get whatever the max is. I always get 12 inchers. I know there's a 14-inch. I always get the 12-incher. And I'm going to show you coming up how we get that to work out perfectly.
Somebody had a question about bushings. If you want to show those,
Yeah, go ahead. You can do it.
so Dean can zoom in, or they can see the part number on it. Gotta move it that way. There you go.
Three by 12. Oh,
Well,
so
when you cut-
yep. You know what? I didn't mention that. Thank you. Whoever showed up late, I thank you. The blanks are 3 by 12. And then because of the golden ratio again, I cut my bottom at 7 and I cut my top at 3. So this will be about a 10-inch peppermill when I'm done. Thank you for that. If anybody else asked that question, I apologize that I didn't do that one. So I take it there. This part is 7 inches. This part is 3 inches. And yes, I save all that extra 2 inches. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but one day I'm going to have something that I'm going to put together, possibly a completely segmented peppermill. Any other questions on here? Bushings? Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's what John said. It's for a mini salt and pepper grinder.
I had the wrong ones when we were talking about the kaleidoscope to my ear.
So I'm just doing a little thinner sanding on this. Any other questions on Dean? Any other questions now that I can take?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they really want to get technical, they could maybe do a nutcracker shape. Of course, you'd have to cut the arms and glue a beard on and stuff. I say I call that challenge.
All right. So let me put one more coat on this side before we go to the left. Can you see it on your side? How the shine is
Turn
built
an
up?
angle. A little bit of an angle on it.
That way?
Get some,
You can see it. We're seeing the same thing you're seeing on it.
Yeah, but I'm missing it because
yeah.
half my monitor's cut off. The camera's right in front of that one for me.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, let's see. If I can
You don't
fix
need to
it.
see.
Let's see if I can fix it.
No, Ed, I'm fine.
Yeah, he's good. If he waits a few seconds, it's on the big screen above him.
Well, yeah, but that's quite a few seconds.
All right. So now what do we got to do? We got to make the top. Oh, you know what he didn't bring? Ed, do you have a set of calipers?
Not yet. I have them in my other room.
Please. All right. So now we're going to simply do the top. to this piece. So I'm going to use that same bushing set that we were just talking about.
And you drilled a inch and
Inch and a 16th hole.
okay.
And then I know that a lot of times these things will call for a 7-inch hole all the way through it. I'll tell you, 7mm hole all the way through it. I drill an 8mm hole. It's just a little bit more, but it gives me a little bit more play when I want to get this thing on and off. So we're going to do that. And now we can use anything we want. We can use a point center on here, or because I'm crafty and I love the way I do a lot of things, I can still use this for my other thing. And remember, we have those Delrin bushings. So I don't know if you can see this on there. What?
And you want it on backwards like that?
Yes.
Okay.
So if I put it on this way,
Then
you
it'll
can
look
do it
nice.
either way. But if I put it on this way, thank you for that point, because I was just going to talk about it. It does give me a little bit of a flat spot, and that's actually what I want. But you'll actually see when I'm turning this, the irony is, I might not even get to that. I might turn this and be cutting that off. So we can just put this on. It all depends. So on that one, I will do it the way you're
Say
suggesting.
your bushing fell out.
Yep. Let me just say, no, I'll show you. What are you looking for?
I was giving you the calipers. You want?
Okay. And all I'm going to do is tighten this on. Yep. Crank it up. Lock it down. Lock it down. Now, holy cow. Ed brought me a set of calipers. What do I need these for? There's only one thing that I use this for. Is to give me something that I think looks graceful. And I know there's a bunch of professional turners out there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the center part of this and caliper it. And I'm going to make that the ball. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get that to be the ball on the top. So let's get to it. So going back to my round cutter. Your favorite part, watching me round something over? Oh, why am I going to put the whole time with this piece of oil? I know I'm still kind of.
Before you,
I'm going to let it stop. I'm going to move my tool rest in a little bit.
before you put the tool back and I jar you again, I just want to let everybody know, if they're not watching the chat, there was a lot of questions about the bushings. They've now been added to the sale, and the sale is again linked in the chat. And thanks, Jeff, for letting me know that they couldn't hear me.
Need something for the dust?
No, I'm fine. Oh, I got a couple more minutes around. Couple more seconds. You know what I didn't mention? One thing I didn't mention, I don't know if you guys noticed, my technique is just my technique. I know that most people tell you to hold the tool down here and then grasp it under your rib cage and hold it down here. I find with these Easy Wood tools, I'm holding it this way and I'm putting my hand right above it, and then that way I'm controlling it. There's no way that this tool can ever not be under my control. And so, and you pointed that out, Ed. I wanted to bring that up now. You can see that when I'm doing this more detailed cutting on here, the tool is at a little bit of a 45-degree angle.
Mhm.
Not 45 this way or this way,
Mhm.
but as you wanted me to point out, it's 45 to the wood. Instead of putting it in this way when I'm doing it, I'm holding it that way. Maybe, let's see if I move this up a little. I didn't have a problem with that other piece, so we'll just chalk it up that I'm having a little bit of a problem with this one. That's almost there, so I'm going to let it stop there.
Sure.
I'm going to start doing my design because I know that when I'm doing my design, I might take a little bit of this off anyway.
Well, and they'll sand
And
it.
sandy,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you can see I'm not all the way through to where I want to be. But the cool part is now all I got to do is make a ball. And this is a little trick I learned from Jimmy Clues years and years ago. Is to make the ball, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to basically make almost a 45-degree cut here. Not a lot, but almost a 45-degree cut to give me space to let my tool do the rest of it. So I don't know if you can see that thing. Can you go to the front camera? So I made almost a 45-degree cut there, right? Now all I got to do is roll that bottom and roll that top over. So when I get into here, this is where following it on the other side is very important. Because I can see that shape actually start to take shape. So you can see I've got a pretty good little cone shape on here.
Mark, can I ask a question?
Sure.
They always talk about with conventional tools, turn downhill, don't turn uphill. With carbide tools, you can come back against the grain without any problem.
Right.
Why is that?
So because you know, it's a great question. So this is my understanding of it, and is that when I'm actually cutting on here. So when I'm if you have a traditional tool, you're actually cutting on that sharp point,
Mhm.
and that point can actually dig into the grain.
Yeah, you're turning into the cut.
Right. When I'm here, I'm flat. Even if that grain line ends here,
Mhm.
it doesn't know that that was a grain line when it got.
Okay.
When I'm going and if this was a tool that was and I go to put, it could actually catch that grain line.
Mhm.
Doing it this way, I can't catch any of the grain line.
Mhm.
That's why these are. I always tell people this because, as you said, I also demo for Easy wood turning tools, and I'm going to say this gracefully because it's not a challenge to anybody, but it's really impossible to get a catch on this tool. That's not a challenge for you guys out there to try to make a catch out of this tool. It's just simply, it's a lot harder to get a catch on this tool.
Mhm.
You don't have the flutes.
Right.
You're not turning into it or rolling the flutes into and catching the grain.
Yep.
So.
As long as this tool is flat on my tool rest and I've got that point right there, I'm not doing this or I'm not doing that, it's almost impossible. Oh, sorry. Are we doing another giveaway?
Yep. While you're busy turning, I'm doing the second giveaway.
Well, you know what? I didn't get a chance to type in the word mill. All right, so this is where now I got to just do the top. So I do want to point this out if I haven't done it, is all we're doing is we're taking this Peppermill and we've just made a series of easy cuts, right? On the bottom, I just rounded it and then I made a gap and a gap that were about the same spot. And then I just rolled this into that one and rolled that over to the bushing. Rolled this over. I mean, I could have used my beading tool in here and put a nice little bead on here. I didn't do that
I'm a
one.
little disappointed you didn't do that, Mark.
Well, I'm not going to put it back on. I can do this.
I was waiting for that.
I can do that when I get it at home. And now on the top, what did I do? I just did half of it. I made half a sphere. Now I just got to get the other sphere. And so that was your point earlier, Ed, is that I'm not even going to worry too much about this because when I make that sphere, I might cut part of that off.
Mhm.
So I am going to go through the same thing where I'm just going to get me some edge out of here. I don't know why it's let me stick it in so much. Got to be slipping somewhere. That's good. It's actually not that bad. It's a little heavy right there. Yep, I agree.
Because I just these little divots. It's around.
I hear you guys. Now, you see I got that little dimple there? There's a billion ways I can get rid of it. I can go to my square cutter. I can go to my diamond point cutter, which is what I'll do a lot.
So a couple of people are saying the tailstock appears to be loose, and that's moving, not your quill. So it's possible your tailstock wasn't tight to the bed.
It might be because it's extended so far too. It might be slipping
What?
the tailstock
Yeah, I don't.
because it's extended so far. It's working.
It's working for now. We're
Right?
gonna be fine.
You got the cut.
You got it done.
So now, ooh, my hair must look a horrible mess.
So you're okay.
Not that it ever looks good.
You do.
While you're getting cleaned up there, Martin asked, will the turn centers be added to the sale? He's building my cart. Dawn says, yep, she'll go add the turn between centers to the sale so you guys can have it on the sale. But she says she's not adding any spectre ply because that's going to be the next question. You guys are going to talk about spectre ply. And she said none of that.
Those turn between centers are awesome. They're great for pen making. They're great for small stuff, center bands, you name it. I use mine for everything. They're just great.
And do you guys include the double embushing on that one? You don't.
On the yes, one of the posts would include the dough bushings.
Yeah, which is a big.
It's a nice help.
So, what time are we at?
7:50.
You're at 5 to 8.
So I could spend more time rounding that, making it perfect. But let me just show you a couple quick steps. I'm gonna just take it and sand it a little. Yeah, I know.
Going right up to the edge.
All right, I could round this up a little bit nicer and clean it all up. But I want to get to the last step because we only got 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes. Yeah. So, I mean, I would have cleaned this little nib up, got it closer,
That looks good.
but give you an idea where we're at. And I would make sure that everything lines up. Dean, can you zoom out just a hair on this?
Yep. 1 sec. Actually, I'll go back
Thank
to
you.
the main. You're not.
So now there's one more little tip and trick that I want to give you. Is remember we did all this stuff and we didn't do any measurements, right? There was a whole bunch of measurements that we would have to do if we did it the other way. I like to make the Peppermills a little bit more freeform. So I am using one of the, this one's mine, right? Yeah, this is mine.
It is now.
Well, I don't have to.
Ching ching.
No problem.
He brought his wallet.
Yeah, that's right.
There's not a single time that I come here that I don't have a good checkbook.
He gets more stuff this way.
Sales are great tonight. Mark's on a roll.
So now the quickest and easiest way that I have found to actually do the top is I'll take the Peppermill, I'll put the little piece in there that's going to go into it. Let's see, right there. For the assembly. Then I will take the rod. Where did I put the rod?
Right here.
I will put the cutter head on the rod. I'll thread that. Oh, I put the other part. So you can see I got, is that the housing you'd call it maybe?
I call it horseshoe. But
The horseshoe on there. And I got that in. So now I'll take the threaded rod. And I'm going to talk a little bit about a tip that Ed showed me the last time I was here. I do things completely backwards from how Ed does it. But you know what? I love this trick. But I'll show you what I do. So now I got that in there, right? Well, if I was to actually make that as a Peppermill, that's how far off I am, right? So I bought the 12-inch. This Peppermill is probably 10 inches. So what I like to do is I'll do this with a marker, but I normally do it with a pencil so you don't see it. But I'll do it with a marker here to make it a little easier. I simply take the marker and I mark a little line on this rod. Then when I pull the rod out, here?
And you mark it right at the edge of the wood.
Right at the edge of the wood. Then what I'll do is I'll simply take this. Let's do something we all have. Take a tape measure, and I will put the nut back on it because you'll see the nut doesn't thread all the way down. The nut basically leaves 1 or 2 threads sitting here. So now I'll go here and I will not use the number 1 because of the play that's in here. So I'll start that at number 1 and I'll look, and this goes literally 2 inches exactly. I'll go from this side now, mark off 2 inches. Mark off 2 inches from the other side. Sorry that my back is to you guys. The horrible thing for a demonstrator to do.
That's a picture of you, man.
Then I simply take it over to my bandsaw. I'll cut this part off.
You're cutting off the bottom now.
Cutting off the bottom.
Yep.
And then I'll hold it just like this, and I'll take a peening hammer and I'll peen the edge so that I get that edge back on here.
Yeah, it just flanges it out a little bit, right?
Yep. Okay. So I'll show you that the last time I did this trick, a very wise gentleman said, well, Mark, that seems a little silly. Why don't you put it in there this way, put the top back on it, screw it on. Am I getting this down right?
You're doing right.
Yeah, it's not the way I ever did it. When Ed told me this, I went, dang, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Push it down, and then take my little pencil or whatever else it is, draw a line right here in there, and then cut it and peen it at that. Now, the nice thing is, on these Peppermills,
would you leave maybe an eighth of an
I
inch?
was just going to say, no, just the opposite.
Okay, so you don't use all the threads.
Right, because you want to, if you cut it just a hair short, you're actually better because that will pull the threads down a little bit. If I cut it a hair longer, that sticks out and you could never lock it.
Yes.
So John brings up a great point, is when I go to cut this, I'll cut on the inside of the line on it, anything that I'm doing. So then that way that draws this down basically a thread, and that's it. But what do you guys think? I mean, it's a pretty simple design, but you know, if I rounded this top a little bit better, I like the look of this thing.
It'd look better with beads.
It would probably look better with beads.
Remember when you do these things, though, if you're selling them, yes, there's a lot of fun in putting the beads on, and there's a lot of fun in making it really ornate and all that good stuff. This is a utility item that is going to be in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And therefore, you recognize that they're going to use it for Christmas to glue their turkey, and their hands are going to be all full of turkey grease. They're going to pick this thing up and grab it and start turning it. So turkey grease is going to get in any one of those beads that you put on there. So be aware that you want it to be cool, but if you do beads, make them wide enough that you get something in to clean it off.
Yeah.
So that you don't have a bunch of grease in it, and it makes your whole piece look crummier.
But I want to sum it up. So one of the things that I do that's a little bit different is that because I use the bushings, notice this goes together. If the plug was in there, it goes together perfect.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about. You've probably seen the old way that they do it is that they put this together, they push it together, and they hold it in, and then they want to use. I know you guys love using this skew to skew it down, and this is a perfect match and all that other stuff. I'm a pen maker. This is a lot easier for me to do. I know how to turn things down to a bushing. So I turn this all the way down to the bushing, and I see a little line in here that's driving me nuts. But I turned this down. I made it a bushing. I ostensibly made this just a big pen.
Mm-hmm.
And then the nice part about it is, done right, this always goes together perfectly right at the seam.
Yeah, with
And
the
I
insert, everything's going to be perfect.
Yep. and I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And as you pointed out, John, if I use that insert in here, my grain pattern all matched.
Yep.
I didn't lose anything. I didn't lose that 1/4 inch of a grain that makes it choppy.
And because the hole in the insert is square that matches the rod, it
Yep.
works the cutter or the grinder perfect.
Yep. And so you guys have. I get the inserts. They're 3D
Yeah, we
printed,
don't-
and they're right here from you guys.
So
One thing that
Marcia just
this
asked, could you
also
just
points
show
out,
one more time the
when I became a
3D
dealer
Hang on,
1,000
hang on.
years ago-
Wait.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So
Mhm.
I'm getting Dean's asking you a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dean.
Marcia's asking if you could explain again how this would assemble without the 3D plug.
Okay. So let me talk about it real quick without the 3D plug. Okay, let me take this apart, Marcia, and you can answer your question while I'm here. Go ahead.
Okay, when I became a dealer for them, one of the things that they told me, this peppermill mechanism was at that time the winner of a fair in France as the best peppermill in the world for
Mhm.
restaurants. But when I called them and said, I'd like to handle it and so forth, well, long story short, one of the things they said was, we will not extend our lifetime memory warranty to you as a pen mill maker, because it only applies if everything is dead straight. So when you deal with this system with Mark's insert, you are actually filling that hole in such a way that you will keep that bar dead straight.
Yep.
Now, they're not going to give you the lifetime memory or warranty. But remember that now you have a product that you can be pretty confident is not going to fail over time. What they're afraid of is a stainless steel mechanism. And of course, you have a male and a female. And what makes that happen is the grinding mechanism between the two of them, when you tighten it up, is going to create the grinder. If those are not dead flat against each other, it will grind one part of the mechanism much harder than the other half of the mechanism. It's at an angle, it will crap up the mechanism. So that's the reason that they don't tell you that it's warranted. But if you do it right and you want to, you can extend to your customer a lifetime warranty, knowing that you have put it together correctly as stainless steel. It's not going to go bad. So that's the long story long. I don't do long story short anymore. So basically, that's one of the reasons that you want to do it this way. And as Mark says, it does line up then. When you did it the other way, you had a tenon that was about 3/4 of an inch long.
And I'm going to do that one right now. So to answer Marcia's question, if I do it the other way, here's exactly how I did it. Notice that there's a tenon on here. And so that's why I always show this piece, this piece that's sitting there. There's a tenon on here. Now, the key to this is there's a couple other things about it too. This tenon has to be whatever size this hole is.
Real
So
close.
1.16 inches. And so when you're making it, you can't undercut it or turn it. So, Marcia, I hope this gets it. So when I put this on and I was actually making this, I wouldn't have put this bushing on here. What I would have done was put it on that way or plugged it some other way that I have it, turn this down with calipers to make sure that I was at 1 1/16 of an inch. And then that way I would know, and it's going to be a little under 1 1/16 of an inch because you got to get it into here. And so I would be spending a lot more time with, either my skew or my flat tool or any of the square tools that I have to get that so that it does fit into here. And as I pointed out, the thing about it is, and you can see it on here, is the grain pattern then drops. It's not as noticeable. Trust me, it's not as noticeable on something like that. Man, is this dusty. As it would be. I don't know if you can zoom in, Dean, on this one for me.
You can see about as good as
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. Notice on that side,
Oh, wow.
that lines up perfectly. And if I go slow and rotate it around, I want to show you that that's just where it cast out. But that actually matches up perfectly because all there was like a 16th kerf in there. So, Marcia, yes, the 3D inserts can be purchased. I know that you guys carry them here at Exotic Blanks. And I think they're pretty darn cheap. They're
And they make everything so much easier.
oh, it does to me.
Yeah, I mean, all you're doing is drilling holes.
And then, as I said, the only thing I want to point out is you drill the hole, and then when you go to, it was an excellent question that someone asked earlier. Where is my
Your
insert?
insert's over here by your
Yeah.
red.
All I'll do is I'll take this, I'll thread it on, and then I'll put it through that, glue it in, and take my peppermill and let it dry that way. And after a couple minutes, because it is epoxy, I only use epoxy. After a couple minutes, I will pull this out so that I don't let it epoxy into it if I did have any other miscellaneous epoxy.
You pull
But
the
that-
rod out, yeah.
Yeah, I will pull the rod out, but that's how that all works. So hopefully, Marcia, was it Marcia?
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
The other thing about that tenon, understand that if you do it that way, I did a heck of a lot of them that way before this was around. That tenon is supposed to fit into 1 1/16 inch hole. Well, I had a jig that I made to make it do that. The problem is wood moves. So if you happen to have a humidity period, you may find out that you can no longer turn the top because that tenon has swollen so much that it does not allow you to turn. So, you know, one of the questions that's asked frequently is how do you finish the inside of a peppermill? We didn't,
Nope.
but as we look at this now and realize we have these other options, so you don't have to worry about swelling of the wood and so forth. But that was one of the major reasons why there was a question about what do you do to the inside of it.
Well, I hate to say it this way, but I'm going to be completely blunt. Give a lazy man a task that he's going to do a lot, and I'm going to find the easiest way of doing it. And the easiest way of me to doing it is to figure out that if I use that drill bit, the same drill bit I used on the other one, and I use those bushings, even if there is no say, there is no golden rule as to what this lip has to be on either one of these.
Mhm.
So that bushing, that's the say on what I used it for.
Yep.
So I can turn things to the bushing because I'm a pen maker,
Yep.
and that's all I love doing. So I'll turn it to the bushing on here, and so that's all I'll do is I'll get that turned to the bushing, get that one turned to the bushing, and I know it's going to line up perfectly the way I do it. And if I need to kiss it and sand up to it, I'm going to kiss it and sand up to it. But it makes it a lot easier. And then that insert just means all I got to do is drill it in and glue it in. I did it the first couple times
Yep.
where I'm making them and just getting it and pulling it and getting it in. And you're right. Any swelling on it makes it tighter.
So from the chat, Martin did ask.
Any questions? Any other things that we should cover before we let you all go for the evening?
Dean's asking us
I
now.
think your headset.
I'm guessing Ed's headset is dead.
Yeah, I think that headset's done.
My headset went.
Yes.
went poofy.
So Martin asked, he said he had some in his cart and they disappeared. For anybody who was looking for the 3D inserts, yes, they're on there. They're on the sale, and Dawn has updated the quantity, so you can re-add them to your cart now.
I walked into the other half of the building.
Yep.
Any other questions for me? I was actually thinking about doing something like this at the MPG, but I think I got something else I want to do with John. So let me just say once again, so we asked earlier about the Midwest Pen Turners Gathering. The website, MidwestPenTurnersGathering.com, and Ed points out it'll be a lot easier to do it when I get that thing up. It'll be up probably middle of next week.
I want to ask if anybody would. How would you all feel about the possibility of a seminar, if you want to call it that, with just John and Mark and I on stage, and you can ask anything you want to? Would there be questions? Would there be interest? Would there be anything, or should we forget that idea? And you can put it in the chat anytime now, later, whatever. We're just kicking around ideas that might be new and different and something that you might enjoy. And we know we'd enjoy it. So
I see Doug is on the call. Nice to see you today, Doug.
yes, the sales end tonight. When we do these new YouTube live, we are pleased to have a whole bunch of people watching, and including all of you. We appreciate your participation. So one of the things that we decided would be a good idea would be to have sales that were only available or were primarily available to people who are watching us live. We will, I mean, this video will be available forever, but the sale will not be available on the video. So we're hoping that that continues to motivate people to watch this and do whatever we are doing at the time.
And I will point out, I got this Bolton Tamarind from you guys. This piece isn't that just ridiculous?
It's
I
very
can't
nice.
wait. I can't wait till I
Check the rest of
yeah.
them. Find out if they're any good.
and no, and when I put some lacquer on this, oh my god, that's gonna look spectacular.
I'll let you finish it up since I can't hear Dean. So just go
So is
ahead.
there any so we are kind of done with this one. We'll stick on for a little bit of time, but now's the time to ask us if you have any questions about absolutely anything else. So there was a question about hands-on, maybe after hours. We were thinking about that. I think probably we have a better possibility of doing something on that Sunday and doing it off-site. So then this way I've got a facility that I can use that's about 10 miles away. And I was considering doing something there so we can have hands-on after that. Anybody else have any questions? Does that mean I've kept you? I couldn't have answered absolutely everything. You guys, or do I have to wake people up?
I think the only thing we haven't seen is go home.
Flatlanders.
Well, and again, the nice thing is it's always available now,
Yeah.
right? They can rewatch this video as many times as they need to see what they missed, or maybe down the road they decide to make one, they forget a little bit. It's always on YouTube to be able to catch a refresher.
Well, and two things I want to
Mark,
point out, and I know
Mark,
that I've
take-
talked to. Go ahead.
A couple steps.
Take 2
this way.
steps to your right. Ha! John knew what I was going to say.
So a couple things that I do want to point out, because Ed and Dawn have always been gracious about this, is if you have any questions for me, you can send it to sales@exoticblanks.com. Ed will or Dawn will send it to me, and I'll make sure that I answer them on there. I answer all my calls or all my emails. If you've come to the MPG or you have my business card, send me questions that way. Another thing that would be very helpful is to sales@exoticblanks.com. Send your ideas for other demonstrations that you want to see. So we were thinking about possibly moving on and doing some Christmas related items also. So this normally pen event or pen thing is really going to expand a little bit. We'll probably be talking about doing some Christmas related items or gift related items. I look at this as a gift related item that you can use anytime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Any-
And yes, you can put a lot of creativity into Peppermills if you want to make snowmen. I did that years ago. Not many of them because they honestly didn't sell. But yeah, you can do anything creative because you've got a large piece there to play with.
One thing, you know what? There was one other thing I didn't show. I was just going to mention this. Is you guys also have a small salt and pepper set.
Yep.
This is the salt and pepper set. Man, did I get dust all over the place? But this is just a normal shake set that you can get. And notice when I shook it, some stuff actually came out of it.
That's
But the nice thing about this one, I did put the little knobs in here, but I didn't burn them in. And now I noticed that I should have burned them in because they would have been a little bit darker or blacker. So this is Ed and Dawn pointed out. This is Spectraply. If you're not familiar with this product, it's a really, really cool thing to turn, and I think I find it really easy to turn. I will tell you that if you haven't turned a lot of it, when you get closer to final cuts, the negative rake cutters will help on it. It won't be obviously as aggressive, but Spectraply is always a blast.
anything you make with Spectra ply, if you get the opportunity to put thin CA on the end of it before you turn it off, down on this end, that is a benefit, because when you get to the end, you are taking little tiny pieces that are able to fly off. Let's put it that way. If they're reinforced with CA, life gets a lot better.
Yeah, I think essentially it's just colored birch.
It is colored birch.
All laminated, but it's soft to turn. But yeah, you will have the little chip outs because of the way it's made. So.
It's a good product. Honestly, diamond wood was better, but diamond wood burned down. So this is the best product that's out there right now for colored plywood.
Well, I think diamond was more stabilized, wasn't
It was a very solid, and it had a smell of strong
it? It had
adhesive.
It had a music quality pitch to it though when you hit them together. I mean, it was harder.
Yeah.
So I think it was more impregnated.
And it was harder to turn. It did your tools quite nicely. You learned how to sharpen.
I do like Anthony's point is that maybe we can do some embellishing on pens and mills. We've talked about that in the past. Simple things like we did bring up earlier. This trans tint. This is just a simple piece of maple, and the trans tint works great on it.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say the glue boost coloring system always works great on
Master
things.
tints.
We do a lot of the master tints on a lot of the stuff. So thank you. Thank you, Anthony. I think that's a great one.
Hey, Kenny. Good to see you.
Oh, yeah, you saw the hello
Yep.
from Texas?
Yep.
So anything else that you guys want to cover or let us know?
Yeah, we're always open to ideas.
Please
I like
have
the
all
whole
this.
start to finish
Oh,
thing. So
At this point. Yes, Anthony, we will make sure. Yeah, we're pretty keen on doing that one. That anything that you see at the symposium will be done by one of the vendors. Casting and stabilization. Check out the YouTube channel. You guys have one or two out there on casting, but I don't think we've done anything on stabilization yet on YouTube.
I don't know. I honestly don't remember.
yeah, we've done it, but I don't think we were on YouTube at that time.
Yeah,
I think
we
was
did
a
it.
Zoom
It
session.
It was on Zoom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another good idea.
In casting, I mean, geez, we could do casting every day of the month and do something different. So,
Oh,
saying.
John could do something different every day of the month.
and I said we.
One thing's pretty sure will be that next month will be the Christmas possibilities, because it's October. And by the time you get to October, we've got November and December, and then you're at Christmas, obviously. So we'll probably work on Christmas stuff a month from now. And then after that, we'll start looking for additional ways to keep your attention.
They also bring up kitless pens. I know we cover that a lot at the MPG, but it might be kind of nice to see if we can't get someone to come out.
Well, Rob would do it, I'm
If
sure.
Rob does it.
I'm sure he
Yeah.
would. If nothing else, we could do it from his shop. I mean, have him come in on, YouTube. Christmas theme would be great. Now, that's pretty much carved in granite, Ken. That's a real high probability for next month.
Then yes, John and I and Ed all have some really cool ideas of some new stuff that you haven't seen on that.
John and Mark have
Well,
good ideas.
That's the fun thing, especially about the Christmas, right? We're always able to just kind of play around with new ideas and bring something to the table, whether it be taking pen blanks and making an ornament out of it, or just mixing it up. So
Well, it's even some of the simple stuff, right? I love turning the barbecue set, and instead of doing something plain, I'll do it in something that's been cast, half wood, half acrylic, and stuff like that. You can take all the technique that we've got and just push it on to doing something else.
yeah,
Snowmen.
Well, mentioning Christmas reminds me too that Dean is working on ornaments.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
we'll have a possibility of ornaments at one of them. Part of one, if that turns out to be his preference. Whatever.
Yeah, at some point,
There's quite a bit yet that are going on.
John, you'll have to have Dawn show you the pictures. I don't think I sent you the pictures.
Why
I
would
actually
it-
got some of them light enough that they're
to
lit
your
inside.
shipping. If you have
Will do.
if you have a liquid, particularly aluminite or something else that's very heavy, that's exempt from the free shipping. There are some other things that are exempt, but typically what you're looking at is something that you have in that cart is making it jump into, yes, there's a freight charge for that, because freight obviously is dependent on weight. And if you're buying a product that we make $10 on and the freight is going to be $25, we choose not to make that included. I'm sorry. But if there's some good answer to it, I'm sure Don will send you a quick notice if she can see the order.
Well, someone said, "Hey, John thought you'd be fishing.
So
Where
yep.
were you, John?"
So, well, Terry and I conversed a bit while I was in Minnesota, and yeah, I got back Friday, so it was a quick week. I was in the middle of trying to finish up some blanks because I knew I was coming up here, and spent the last few days finishing all of that. So I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for a demo, which was why it was great to see Mark make Peppermills tonight because I didn't have to do anything. But I'm injured from all that fishing. I have fishing elbow. If it's anything like tennis elbow, it's a tendon problem. But I guess it was from setting the hook too many times. So it's a good problem to have.
Anybody else take that comment as, "Hey, it's good to have an understudy, so when the superstar can't do it, they can just bring it." He just went, I need a little right-handed reliever. Hey, can I ask one quick question? Anybody who's here? I recently posted, I think it was this morning, on Pen Turning and Learning on Facebook. Anybody here because of that? And if you're not, that's fine. But I just want to know if anybody saw that post.
You're like, Mark who?
Yeah.
I can't see the count down.
I don't even know where we got to. So, okay.
Yeah, it was good enough. And we didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Well, that's the difference when you don't have John doing something.
We supervised. We made sure he did it right.
Oh, what are you talking about? You don't have anything to do.
And look at all
Clean
this
this up.
mess you have to
You're
clean
cleaning
up.
it up.
I'm gonna and make sure that jacket's or that shirt's shook off before you get back in my
Oh,
car,
yeah.
or we're both in trouble.
Yeah. I know.
My wife's car.
Should say the boss's car. Yeah. No.
So he said all he has in his cart are Peppermills, drill bits, and TVC bushings. So we'll take a look at it. Don will take a look at it, and we'll make sure that she at least looks at it.
If anybody had any orders placed tonight prior to this, and there's something wrong, it's Mark's fault. Him and I actually helped pick orders tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So I know I did all mine correctly, but if there's a mistake, it's Mark's fault. There was one he did. So
I picked almost 20 orders before I took a break.
yeah, but they were all
Yeah,
two
of
item
course.
orders.
I did. Yep, I meant to. Right? I was looking through it. And I went,
I'm pretty sure every time I'd pick up an order sheet, it'd be 3 pages, and you'd run off with a single 2 items.
Thanks for the understanding. He said I'll put a note in the order, and we'll see what we can figure it out.
Awesome.
And when
Yeah,
Mark says he picked the orders, he means it. They picked this one, it's got 1.
Yeah,
They picked that's
He-
that's got
he
5.
picked them twice. Ooh, there's too many pages of that
Yeah,
one.
I don't want that.
So Don says that it was one of the Peppermills that was having an issue. If anybody has that Peppermill and it causes a shipping issue, she will fix and refund the shipping.
So it looks like Emily had the same issue.
Yep, Emily. So again, Don will fix those.
Oh, Peppermill kit, Peppermill blanks maybe. If the 3x3 by whatever blanks may be exempt, I don't
Yeah.
know.
And then, so Anthony says, if sold out, will you honor the sale? If something is sold out. It's just a question that came up.
Yeah, I don't know that we have the mechanism, so I
don't-
can't give you a good answer. Don will send you an email and let you know the answer to that, because I when she puts the price in for tonight, then it obviously, when you check out, it will give you the right price. If, on the other hand, it's 2 days from now, I don't know that there's a way that we can make the software recognize that. So my honest answer is I don't have a clue.
So put in a comment with the order, send it to Dawn, and
Yeah,
and
she'll figure
it's
it
best
out.
to. I know you guys have never seen Dawn out here, but she does exist. That's
she's
why.
always doing all the work while we're not here
Exactly.
playing. So
And
somebody's got to keep the
if you
doors
wanted
open.
to see her, John, and how would you do that?
The only place I know of would be the MPG.
The Midwest Pen Turners Gathering.
Yeah.
Well, she did make a rare appearance at the AAW
Yep,
this year
yep.
too. And
Was it the AEW?
where was that one at? Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it looks like everybody's starting to cut out. We'll be cutting out in the next 60 seconds unless you guys have anything you want.
Yeah, because Mark's got more orders to pick.
Yeah.
And
No,
more to sweep.
I got not that. I have to go buy stuff. And now that I see things are getting sold out, I'm getting like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I want to buy some stuff.
You're screwed. Too late. You got enough in the car.
I want to get some more of the spalted tamarind.
So Dawn did say that the stuff that's sold out, drop her a note, and she will honor the price if they don't mind waiting. So you can always put a note in. If you're putting an order in, put a note in on some of the things. She says it'll take a week or two for the rest of the products to get refilled, but she will honor the price if you put in the order tonight and
Looks like
send
we
her a
may be
note.
finished. Dean, why don't you?
He was just
Yeah, he
explaining.
Oh, okay.
He was just saying that Dawn said, just so you hear, Dawn said that if something is sold out, put a note in the order. She'll honor it, and she'll have to do it by hand and
All you guys get your orders in before Mark. I'll keep delayed for another 20 or 30 seconds out here afterwards. So,
Oh, look, Doug says he's going to get his order in before.
yep.
But then other than that, I agree. I think it's time we can close up. I'm going to say goodbye so I can go finish packing.
Thank you, Dean, and have a good trip.
Thanks, everybody, for coming out, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon.
Good night, all.